Hey everybody, my name is Kelton Bruff, and welcome to another expert session by Stukent. Today our guest speaker is Matt Siltala. Matt is an online search industry leader and founding launcher of Avalaunch Media. Matt's clients have included companies like SalesForce, Workfront, The Home Depot, and GoDaddy. Matt loves networking with other industry leaders and speaking at conferences like Digital Dealer and other events across the country on digital marketing. Matt has even been asked to speak to students in business MBA programs at the universities like BYU and Arizona State University. Before forming Avalaunch Media, Matt co-founded Dream Systems Media in 2005. He has started several highly successful e-commerce businesses beginning in 1998. Welcome, Matt.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody. I appreciate you being out for this. My name is Matt Siltala, and I'm excited to do this for Stukent. I know Stu is a friend of mine, and when I was asked to present this content, I was excited. And so this is a presentation that I'm quite excited about that I've been sharing a lot this year, but it's how to make the best content in the world. And that's what we're really going to dive into. And just so you have a little bit of a background about myself, a lot of the imagery that you see on this is my photography. I do a lot of photography, and so I create a lot of content in that side of it, the visual content. And so that's what we're going to be jumping into and diving deep into. And so again, welcome to everybody that is listening. You can follow me at Matt Siltala on Twitter. I podcast over at the Business of Digital, and so if anybody wants to get more familiar with a lot of the stuff that I do on that end with a podcast, we have a digital marketing podcast. Just a quick example, so you know that you're talking to someone that practices what they preach. Just a little bit of our clients at Avalaunch Media. This is who I podcast with. His name is Dave Rohr, and he does lots of funny stuff like creating fake beards that, made of my beard. But anyway, so we have some fun, and that's who I podcast with. And so, again, I don't want to take a whole lot of time talking about that, but I just did want to make people aware of that. And so you can go and check that out. Everyone here is a student and wants to learn more, and so that's where you can do so. So, like I mentioned, I love photography, and a lot of the content that you're going to see on here is my photography. And so that's really, with making the best content in the world, I like to do it on the visual side. Okay, I personally feel the best content in the world is on the more of the visual side of things, and so that's really what I wanted, what I'm going to focus the most on in this presentation. And so again, I got this quote from this article on Insights. Or it's at insights.newscred.com, and you got the URL there. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with that URL in mind. But everything I talk about, it's credited, so you'll be able to see and go where I saw it. So, all right, so let's jump into it. Do you ever feel like your social media shares are going nowhere? The answer that I get to that a lot is, it's obvious. Yes. That's what we're talking about. And so that's why I wanted to focus on the visual side of it, because here are the problems. Okay, and these are just from people we work with, from clients, or just I speak at a lot of conferences, and so these are a lot of the questions that I'm always asked when it comes to content and content sharing. And hey, I created this really good piece of content, but nobody's sharing it or doing anything with it. And so let's jump into them. So, have you ever heard this? We need to create more content. We hear that all the time. We need to be on all social media. Okay, what does that even mean? Okay, do you have a purpose? Okay, and we're going to jump into all these. I just kind of wanted to do a high-level overview of them at this point. I heard we need to create infographics. Okay, someone told me I need to have an infographic, and so we need to create it. I hear we need to be creating video. Okay, you get the point. So these are all things that make me go, ah! And so I don't want you to fall in this trap, okay? And so I'm here to provide a path for success, okay, when it comes to all this. And so let's just dive right into it. And so some of the best tips that I can give you when you're creating content, or especially the visual side of it, the visual content, a lot of times you have an infographic, okay? So The reason I shared this, or kind of jumping off with this, is I want you guys to think beyond the infographic. So you have this awesome infographic that you created. It cost a lot of money to get it produced, and you share it one time, and maybe like 4 or 5 people liked it, and 3 of those people were family members. Well, how do you go beyond that? How do you get that graphic to do more for you? Okay. And so when you're in the process of creating it, you need to think about all the different ways that this content can be used. Think about when you're putting it together and the story that it tells. Think about areas that you can snip from it. Okay. So like in this example that I share on this slide, you see there's very good talking points to certain statistics, like this one in the big dominant one kind of in the middle, which food and drinks were all the rage in 2017. Okay. And so these are, this right here itself is a good piece of content. This is something that can be shared on Instagram. This is something that can be shared on Pinterest. This is something that can be shared on Twitter. And so you could also create a blog post out of this specific image in and of itself. And so you have this awesome infographic, but you need to create it in a way that you could take sections of it and either, you could put it into a PowerPoint form, you could take specific sections of it and write blog posts about it. You could use it on the different social networks that I talked about, and then you could get a good discussion going there. And so you have this one piece of content that it essentially ends up, potentially being used hundreds of different ways if done right. And that's what I want you to do. So when you're thinking of any of your kind of content, how can you do this? Like even, if you're creating a video and you have certain talking points on it that are awesome, why not create some stills of some of your best images that are good talking points within that video? And so it goes both ways. That's the point. You got to just think beyond, hey, I'm creating this video, I'm going to get it on YouTube, or I'm creating this infographic, it's going to be shared on my website, and hopefully I get people liking it. Think beyond that, and that's what I want you to do. And so this is what we do at Avalaunch. We have what we call a visual snack pack, and this is the process. Okay, so we create the infographic, and then once the infographic is approved, then we design a infogram. That's what we and kind of like this is an example of it. This is what we'll use for Instagram, for example. And so we call this the infogram. And again, you could call it whatever you want or do whatever you want, but we're helping get the most maximum value for clients out of this content. And so again, this is just our process, but we're taking it where you can get maximum usage out of all of your different types of content. And so number 3, once it's approved, we deliver it in different sizes. And so again, these are just the sizes right now. It could change, but we give Facebook versions, Twitter versions, LinkedIn versions. And this is what you need to do with your visual content. And that's really what I'm hoping you're getting from this. And so again, 4, once the infographic is approved, the client also picks one statistic and call to action. And then what we'll do is we'll create a 15-second mini motion graphic. And this is, a video, and there is no, there's not any worry about you needing to be an actor or anything like that. It's all taken care of with the imagery that we've already created. We just create a motion version of it. That's a 15 to 16-second video, and then you can share it across everywhere. I mean, it could even be a good ad for you. You can use it on Facebook for sponsored ads. You could use it on Instagram. You could use it anywhere you want. And so, again, we're taking the maximum, the maximum opportunities that we can with our visual content. So again, just kind of breaking it down more for you. You can use this visual content for blog banners. You could use it for white papers. You could use it for PowerPoints. You could use it for social content, website banners, micrographics. It's unlimited. And so this is what you have here. So you're thinking you got these big old infographics or white papers or whatever. Think beyond that. Get everybody involved. Think about how you can get the most maximum usage out of it. And that's why I say get your teams involved here. Okay. And again, this is just 3 quick examples. I mean, there's lots more in many circumstances than this, but you get the point here with whether your PPC team, your SEO team, your outreach, get everybody in the same room and help them be involved in this whole process. And that's going to help you produce better social media content, because the other thing that happens that you don't want to happen is you don't want to get shut down. And I don't know how many people have seen the TV series Suits on USA Network, one of my favorite shows ever. But this is Harvey. I always like telling people don't get Harveyed, because the lawyers will shut you down. Sometimes you spend a lot of time creating an amazing piece of content, and then you forget to get everyone involved, and the lawyers don't like it for whatever reason, and then they shut the project down, and you just wasted $1,500 on creating content that you're not going to be able to use. And so again, making sure you're getting everybody involved, because if you don't, it is going to drive you crazy. You'll spend all this time. You're going to be frustrated. We're going to be frustrated. Everybody's going to be frustrated. So don't be frustrated. Don't let that happen. All right. When you're creating content, if you're creating it simply for the fact of, I hope this get likes and links, please stop thinking that way. Okay. Do not, if there's anything I can do today, it's help you when you're creating content to stop thinking of it that way. Okay. So what I want you to start doing is I want you to start thinking about, when you're producing content, is it answering certain questions? Okay. Get your sales team involved. Get the people that answer, customer support. Get those people involved. Get everyone involved that answers questions, that helps people out. Customer service, any kind of thing like that. That's the kind of content you want to be creating. Be that solution. Be the answer to that problem. Answer the question. Provide insights. If you have proprietary data for your industry, that's even better. That's great. And so again, like it says here on the slide, brands, they're starting to embrace the concepts that connect us all as humans and bring awareness to people and stories that are often overlooked. And so this is an opportunity to connect your customers to each other and your brand. And so remember that. All right. And I think just giving you a quick example, not really going to talk a whole lot about it, but I wanted to include it on this presentation so you guys could go back and check out the case study. But Reebok, I believe, has done an amazing job with Be More Human. And this was more of for a women campaign. But if you look at, historically how some of the ads have been geared for women, you're going to love this, because this is more real. Gone are the days of, those old sexist ads, and just remember that and look into this case study, Reebok.com/BeMoreHuman. Brilliant. An example of, just giving you a case study, we created this infographic for Intermountain Vein Care. Basically, what are varicose veins? And so our purposes or our objectives with it, we wanted high-level placement opportunity. Again, when I say you're creating this content, you want to have purposes. Is it to drive leads? Is it to drive sales? Are you trying to get links? Is it to help with SEO purposes? Are you looking for outreach? Are you looking for just helping people in general? These are the things that you have to ask. And so with these guys, they wanted high-level placement opportunities. They wanted to educate people about the causes, symptoms, and treatments for varicose veins and improve their backlink profile. And so when we put this out and we started doing outreach, Huffington Post is one of the ones that picked it up. But here's just a quick sample of all the other publications that picked it out. And so again, we had objectives and goals. And then what we did was we used all these, we took different pieces from this infographic and we created other content on it. We used this in Instagram, we used it in Facebook, we used it for ads, we used it for blog posts. All of them eventually leading back to that one piece of content that helps people understand what they are. And again, the longer we can keep on the website, the more opportunity they have to learn about that company and then sign up for them in their treatment. And so that's the goal there. So again, this is leveraging your content for max capacity. And so when you're doing all this that I'm talking about, you want to have some kind of a follow-up strategy with your visual content. Create blog content out of it. Use it for social ads. Use it for paid ads. Have very specific campaign strategies. You can even plan out the topics. Like for example, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the recurring topics that just happen on certain places for Mondays, or you have Spotlight Saturday, or anytime there's a holiday coming up. Have that content ready to put out there and wish people, a happy holiday or whatever. This is what we do at Avalanche, on Thanksgiving. We have fun with it, stuff like that. And so again, once you have these topics established, then you create those campaigns. And again, I don't know if you've ever heard of the concept or if I'm beating a dead horse with it, but having a content calendar, like with our Business of Digital podcast, we have an Excel spreadsheet that basically maps everything out, what topics we're going to talk about on what days, and we have this planned out for months. I mean, we even have guests that we use on time from time, but everything's lined up. And so we never are wondering, well, what kind of content should we create today, or what should we record today? When we already know because we have that calendar set in place, and that's what I think you guys have to get from this. And so I think if you do this, it is going to help brands foresee trends a lot better and be prepared. I was reading something. Wendys, if you need a good account to follow for social media, how they, Wendys, the food restaurant, the fast food chain, they do a brilliant job. They do stuff like, they troll other businesses, and they also just have fun with it, but not to a point where it's horrible. Like Chick-fil-A tweeted out, "Is there anything better than a spicy chicken sandwich on a Friday?" And they replied, "Yeah, getting one of ours on a Sunday." Obviously digging at Chick-fil-A for not being open on Sunday. And so just stuff like that, like that's fun and it's funny. And so again, all this kind of stuff is going to help you be prepared for stuff like that. And so you got to continue to think beyond the normal. And so here's an example. You can see this animation. This is a email signature that we use on. So every time I'll go back really quick, and then you'll see it launch again. So there it is. See, it's moving. This is a email signature. Anytime an email goes out from Avalanche, this is on it for any one of our employees or whatever. And the reason I'm sharing this one is because we signed up a client because of this. They saw the graphic that we did and they loved it, and they're like, "Hey, I want to, I like that. Can you do something like that for me?" And they've ended up being a bigger client and doing more with us because of something they saw that's visual. And again, so even something like this, just simple email signature, can be content. I included a Blendtec campaign case study here for you, and I know that you guys are all going to have access to this webinar, so go back and check it out. I really wasn't going to go over it, but I just wanted to include a couple case studies for you to see. Here's another one from Sunset Magazine. Simple. It was amazing. Just 6 national parks and 1 highway. And I love photography, and this one I paid close attention to because, and again, this was just when there's probably a lot more by now. This is just when I shared these statistics, but over 21 million views, and it was very simple. This is the kind of, they understand their audience and the kind of stuff that they're looking for, and it's a great visual case study. So Avalaunch Media is known for one of our infographics called Social Media Explained by Kittens. And so this photo right here that I took of my kitten was one of the most shared photos I've ever had. And that's why I included it on here. And so that's why I asked the question, is it too much content if you guys keep asking for it? And so this was the original graphic. We used cats to explain social media, like Facebook, I like my cat. Twitter, I'm playing with my cat. YouTube, watch this video of my cat. LinkedIn, I'm very skilled at training cats. Instagram, here's a hipster picture of my cat. You get the idea. Well, it went on forever, for many years. So many shares, literally millions of views, thousands of links. I can credit hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue to our business because of this one graphic. People coming in because they found it. So we redid it and we updated it, and it got shared everywhere. We actually made a poster version of this. People loved it. They put it on their walls. They shared it everywhere. We did video versions of this. Okay. We created ebooks. Again, more purpose for getting leads and things like that. People wanted a dog version of it, so we created a dog version of it. We actually did a fundraiser based, we put the cats against the dogs, and who won? The dogs ended up winning, but we raised over $10,000 that we split between Needs and the Humane Society. Someone wanted a redneck version of it. Someone wanted a meme version of it. And so again, it all goes back to one graphic. And so this is the reason I'm sharing this, is I don't want you guys thinking you always have to reinvent the wheel. Find that popular content. Find what people already love with what you're doing, and just figure out ways to make that work. Like, it's when I put this presentation together, it was in March, and I was just kind of making the point that, hey, it's still being shared. This graphic is, over 8 years old, and it's still being shared. That's the kind of content that you want to create. That's the kind of content that's going to last forever. And so hopefully this gives you something. I know we want to try to keep these around 20 minutes, and so I do appreciate you taking some time and checking this out with me, the visual side of it. Anyone that wants to follow me, I'm more than happy to help you. Just follow me on at Matt_Siltala on Twitter. And of course, follow my podcast at Biz of Digital. And you can figure out how to subscribe. There we podcast weekly, all things digital marketing. And we're here to educate and help. And I look forward to meeting up with any of you that find me on these places. And thank you for taking the time and listening to the presentation. Thank you, guys.